They say the road never lies. But what if the road hides something? Something that could ruin your career, your finances, and maybe even your health. Imagine this. You're halfway through a long haul, crossing state lines, chasing delivery deadlines. Suddenly, the check engine light flashes. Again. You lose power. Again. You're stuck. Again. But this isn't just bad luck. It's a pattern. One that's been repeating itself for thousands of truckers across America. Some lost their rigs. Others lost their businesses. A few lost everything. And it all started with one truck. A truck that was supposed to change the game. A truck that was marketed as revolutionary, but turned out to be a ticking time bomb on wheels. We've investigated the technical failures, the lawsuits, the environmental bans, and the drivers left holding the bag. And today, we're going to expose exactly what went wrong. But before we dive in, if you live life on the road, or you just love trucks as much as we do, hit that subscribe button and join the Trucks Life family. We bring you stories from the blacktop that the big companies don't want you to hear. What you're about to discover might just save you thousands of dollars, or your entire livelihood. Let's hit the road. It all begins with a name that once inspired confidence. International ProStar. Sleek, modern, and aggressively marketed as the truck of the future. But what truly set it apart wasn't its frame or its comfort, it was what lived under the hood. Between 2010 and 2014, Navistar, the company behind International, introduced a bold new engine, the MaxxForce. Their gamble? A unique approach to meeting EPA emissions standards without using DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. While other manufacturers embraced selective catalytic reduction, SCR, systems with DF, Navistar insisted their EGR-only solution would be cleaner, simpler, and more cost-effective. But that gamble turned out to be a catastrophic miscalculation. At first, drivers were intrigued. No need for DEF? One less tank to fill? One less system to worry about. But what seemed like a shortcut quickly became a mechanic's nightmare. The EGR-only technology pushed superheated exhaust gases back into the engine at extreme volume. This led to massive carbon buildup, clogged systems, overheating, and frequent shutdown. And then came the flashing lights. Check engine, service now, engine derate, again and again. A veteran driver named Ray told us he was stranded 6 times in 1 year. Each time it was the same story. Sensors, EGR valve, turbo failure. I spent more time at the shop than on the road. The MaxxForce engine was notoriously unreliable. In many cases, engines failed catastrophically under 300,000 miles, a death sentence for any working trucker depending on mileage to pay the bills. The repair bills? Often upwards of $15,000 to $25,000 per year. The worst part? Even after repairs, the problems came back. There was no real fix. Mechanics replaced parts, drivers replaced entire engines, but the system itself was flawed from the core. Word began to spread among drivers. Forums lit up. Facebook groups warned, avoid the MaxxForce at all costs. Still, many didn't know. Others didn't believe the horror stories until it happened to them. And yet, the nightmare's just beginning. Because soon, it wasn't just about breakdowns and repairs. The consequences of owning one of these trucks would go far beyond the engine bay, into state regulations, registration bans, and financial ruin. As the mechanical failures of the MaxxForce piled up, something even more alarming began to unfold. State regulators started taking notice. And what began as a technical inconvenience quickly escalated into a full-blown crisis for thousands of truckers. States like California, New York, and Oregon, known for strict environmental standards, started failing International ProStars equipped with MaxxForce engines during emissions testing. The reason? The EGR-only system couldn't consistently meet the EPA's real-world standards, especially as engines aged and soot clogged up critical components. In some cases, truckers found themselves unable to renew their registrations. Others were fined on the spot for non-compliance. "I couldn't legally drive my truck through California anymore," said Javier, an owner-operator based in Phoenix. "I had routes out there every week. Suddenly, I was locked out of an entire state." Soon after, other states followed. Some insurance companies refused to cover long hauls using ProStars with MaxForce. Leasing companies blacklisted them. The value of these trucks on the resale market plummeted. What had once been a $120,000 investment turned into a machine no one wanted, even at $30,000. Meanwhile, repair shops were overwhelmed. Diesel techs reported having entire backlots full of ProStars waiting for engine replacement. The parts were expensive, labor was intense, and in many cases, the fix only bought time before the next failure. Then came the lawsuits. By 2016, Navistar faced multiple class action suits. Plaintiffs alleged that the company knew about the MaxForce engine's fatal flaws, yet continued to sell it without warning buyers of the risk. In one internal email revealed during litigation, a Navistar executive reportedly said, "We're putting out fires faster than we can control them." The lawsuits eventually led to settlements, but for many independent drivers, it was too little, too late. The damage had been done. They'd lost contracts, clients, credibility. Some lost their rigs altogether. Even fleets weren't spared. One regional company based in Missouri had purchased 45 ProStars in 2012. By 2015, over 60% were inoperable, sitting dead in yards across the Midwest. The company eventually filed for bankruptcy. And then, there were the mental and emotional tolls. Stories of drivers who quit the industry out of sheer frustration. Some couldn't afford a second truck and were forced into day jobs just to stay afloat. "That truck ruined my life," one former driver told us, "and it looked so good on the brochure." The MaxForce disaster didn't just impact engines. It rippled through families, communities, and the entire used truck market. Many drivers had trusted Navistar's promises. Instead, they were left stranded, financially, legally, and literally. And even today, some of those trucks are still out there, sitting in used lots, waiting for the next unsuspecting buyer. If there's one thing the road teaches, it's this: not every shiny rig is your friend. The International ProStar with the MaxForce engine is more than just a bad truck. It's a cautionary tale. A story about what happens when marketing outruns engineering, when corporate decisions leave hard-working drivers holding the bag. This wasn't a rare defect. It was a widespread failure that hurt thousands financially, professionally, and personally. And for many, the consequences still linger. So if you're in the market for a used rig, do your homework. Know what's under the hood. And if you see MaxForce, walk away fast. At Trucks Life, we believe drivers deserve the truth, uncut, unfiltered, and unafraid. That's why we dig deep into the stories the big players try to bury. If you've had experience with this truck, drop your story in the comment. Let's make sure no one else falls into the same trap. And if this video opened your eyes, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We've got more stories coming, from the dark corners of the trucking world to the open highways that keep this country running. Stay safe, stay smart, and stay rolling.